Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Everybody, peace. Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast show, brought to you by GSMC Sports Network. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle, and we have got an amazing show for you today, guys. We're going to be discussing some recent news coming out of the Philadelphia training camp, again involving James Harden, and we're also going to be discussing some women's college basketball news involving one of the most recognizable faces in the sport. And then we're going to be closing out the show with 2 segments of Storytime Friday. I know we've been doing a lot of Storytime, but it seems that is what the fans have been enjoying the most. So I'm just going to be sharing some more stories about my time as a collegiate athlete and my time currently playing as a professional athlete. So we got a lot of that in store for you guys, and then some. So that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all of our latest content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in GSMC Sports. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. None of this is possible without you guys, the fans. So I'm so honored to have this platform and share with you guys my thoughts and my insight on the wonderful world of basketball. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. As I said, we're going to start the show off by discussing some recent comments made by James Harden in regards to his relationship with Daryl Morey. And these are actually his first public comments since joining the Philadelphia 76ers last week for training camp. James Harden told reporters after today's practice on Friday that he continues to see no way his relationship with Daryl Morey can be repaired, while also saying his plan is to play basketball this season, and he obviously wasn't specific as to where, but he's when asked directly whether things could be patched up, things could be fixed with his relationship with Morey, James Harden just flat out said no. And he said no, and James Harden said something pretty interesting after that. He said that, paraphrasing, it's not really even about basketball. This is in life, so assuming that this is more of a personal issue. And he also made an analogy where he said, and I quote, "When you lose trust in someone, it's like a marriage. You lose trust in someone, you know what I mean? It's pretty simple." So, obviously, whatever is going on between James Harden and Daryl Morey there appears to be things that we are, as in the public eye, that we're missing, and we don't have all the information to, because whatever's going on it seems like it's a little deeper than basketball. Basketball might be playing a factor into it, but it seems to be a little deeper than basketball as well. And I will say this, I commend James Harden and give him a lot of credit for still showing up, doing his job as a professional, showing up to work, going to practice, and being with the team, going through the practices and doing what he signed his contract to do, and that's play basketball, despite his relationship with management and Daryl Morey. And we know how extensive the relationship is between James Harden and Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey pretty much has been James Harden's biggest supporter since he traded for him back in 2012. And, before training camp started, I said that I can't see how James Harden plays the game for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I might have to amend that. I might have to amend that statement. It appears that there might be an ability for James Harden to still play in Philadelphia despite not having a great relationship or no relationship with management. I can't recall the last time something like this has happened publicly. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, if you were to ask me, will he last the entire season in Philadelphia? That remains to be seen. I'm not entirely sure about that. I think having Nick Nurse there changes things. I know without a doubt, I know from a first-hand account that James Harden and Doc Rivers did not have the best relationship. I know that firsthand. So having Nick Nurse there will change things, and we know that Harden has a pretty great relationship with all of his teammates in Philly, so that makes things easier as well. But this is an interesting dynamic. I can't recall ever seeing, a player having this bad a relationship with front office in the public eye while still playing with the organization at the start of the season. So that'd be pretty interesting to see. But moving forward, when you really sit back and think about it, James Harden really doesn't have any other option though but to come and play. And not only just because of his contract, but also for his reputation. I mean, he has forced his way out of Houston, forced his way out of Brooklyn. You force your way out of a third team at the age of 34, you've almost blackballed yourself to an extent. So you don't really have a choice as James Harden but to go out there and just do your job and play. I do, I'm making amends to what I said previously. I do think that James Harden will end up playing the game, starting the season out in a Philadelphia Sixers uniform. But let me know what you guys think about that. Share your thoughts in the chat room. I would love to hear your thoughts on that and know what you guys think about that, because this is a very interesting dynamic. But Philadelphia is doing a good job of handling it in the media and the public eye, professionally, to the best of their abilities. I guess they learned a lot from the Ben Simmons dynamic and saga, right? But in our next segment, guys, we are going to be discussing some news revolving around one of the most recognizable faces in women's college basketball right now. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. Everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we discussed the relationship between James Harden and Daryl Morey and whether it's salvageable and what it means for the Philadelphia franchise moving forward, and how James Harden really wasn't left with any other options but to come to work and practice and do his job. And in this segment, guys, we are going to be discussing one of the most recognizable faces in women's college basketball, and that is Haley Cavender. As you guys know, University of Miami's Haley Cavender and her sister Hannah Cavender both foregone their senior season at Miami to pursue a career in the WWE. However, Haley Cavender says she plans to return to college basketball in the year in the next season, 2024-2025 season. So sitting out this year. She entered her name into the portal. That doesn't mean she's necessarily going to transfer, but she has put her name in the portal. And as you guys know, Haley Cavender was an integral piece for the University of Miami's Elite 8 run this past season. She averaged 12 points and almost 5 rebounds per game. And she earned second team All ACC honors, and she, like I said, she might be returning to Miami, but she has just put her name into the portal. As you guys know, Haley and her sister Hannah gained notoriety during their time at Fresno State due to their large presence on TikTok. They both transferred from Fresno State to Miami together. Hannah does not plan to join her sister in future basketball pursuits. And it will, I think this kind of just sheds light on the many different avenues that college athletes have now. I mean, with the NIL, it has opened up the door for a lot of opportunities for these players, and it's great to see. But also it does kind of shed light on those that are singularly focused on basketball as opposed to having other options. I'm not saying having other options are bad, but it's just interesting to see where people's perspectives are at and where their mind is at. I think it sheds a lot of light on what they want to get out of basketball, right? And I think this is a perfect story that encapsulates that and personifies that thought, that story, that thought process. So, I thought it was very interesting to see. So I wanted to talk about it. Excuse me. But let me know what you guys think. Share your thoughts in the comment section, in the chat room as well. I'd love to hear all about it. Hear what you guys think on that. And in our next segment, guys, we're going to be doing another story time segment. I'll be sharing some stories about my time at, I don't know whether it might be, I know yesterday I did a college story and a high school story. So I don't know what I'll do today. I don't know. Try to mix it up for you guys. Try to give a story from each phase of my life periodically. But I don't know. I'm not actually sure what story I'm gonna share yet. But be sure to stick around, and I guess you'll find out what story I'll tell. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. In case you missed the first couple segments of our show, we just discussed the dynamics of the relationship between James Harden and Daryl Morey and what that means for the Philadelphia 76ers organization. And we also discussed some updates on Haley Cavender of the Cavender twins, who are some of the most recognizable faces in women's college basketball because of their NIL endorsements. And in this segment, guys, we're going to be doing a story time segment, since it is Friday, of course. And we're going to be doing 2 story time segments this Friday, because you guys seem to enjoy the story time segment so much. I greatly appreciate that. And in this segment, guys, I just want to talk real quick, super quick, just about how, the importance of your recovery as an athlete. So I'll never forget my freshman year. I rarely went into the training room, to whether it be to get ice baths or stem treatment or heating pads or massages. I just rarely used the training room because when you're 17, 18 years old, freshman year, college, you think you can go just 100 miles an hour without really recovering and do all these things. And if you guys heard my story on Wednesday, I talked about how I had a hairline fracture on the 3rd metacarpal in my right hand. I was blessed to say that was the only injury I ever had, serious injury I had in college. But I noticed by the time I got to my sophomore year, I had like nicks and knacks and bruises, like sore ankles or sore knees. Wrist might get sprained, things like that. But it wasn't until my senior year that I really started to utilize the training room and realized the importance of it. And so like I said, I started out this segment by talking about how in our training room we were blessed to have ice baths, heating pads, stem treatment, and massages from the athletic trainer, depending on the time. I never had to schedule that part, but still understanding the concept. So we had a lot at our disposal for us to use, and we just that was something I didn't really start to utilize until my senior year. But people think that if you're spending a lot of time in the training room, that means you're hurt or you're injured. No, you're spending a lot of time in the training room as preventative measures, as not just maintenance, but preventative measures. And so I knew you start to learn the importance of being proactive as opposed to reactive, especially for your body. So I would, by the time my senior season rolled around, I would get the heating pad and sometimes stem, but always a heating pad on my back before practice. Sometimes stem on my quads if I needed it. I would get massages after games, like that Monday or Thursday, and then I would get an ice bath at least once a week. That would normally be after a game, so either on Thursday or on Monday as well. But having a routine for the training room is part of the process, part of things that you need to take care of, and things you need to be intentional about as a college athlete is the recovery process as well. And those preventative measures, the better you are at taking care of your body, the more likely you are to prevent injuries and reduce the risk of injury. So, that was something I was blessed to be able to learn, because once I learned that, my body started to feel better, and I applied a lot of those things at the professional level. And what I've noticed now is most of my time is spent, not rehabbing, but like doing those preventative measures, stretching and hip activational stuff, and like I said, ice baths and stem and heating pads, because that's part of the process, right? It's part of maintaining your body and taking care of your temple. And and you can see the results. You see the results immediately, especially when you're consistent with it. And in college, it's grueling. The season is long. It's 4 or 5 months, and it can be taxing. So being able to stick with it and maintain your consistency and take care of your body, because you're gonna hit the wall, especially freshman. You hit that wall, and you feel like, man, your body can't go anymore. But you don't really have a choice at that time. You gotta stick through. You gotta push through it. And so maintaining that level of comprehension and focus by having a routine and a regimen through your rehab or through your time spent in the training room is vital. And so that was something I learned throughout college that has been beneficial for me at the professional level. And I would say to freshmen at the collegiate level, spend a lot of time in training room. Even if you feel like your body doesn't need it, just do it. Do it to be proactive, and also do it for your mental. Use that time to decompress and to separate from everything, whether it be academics or basketball. Use that time to really be in your thoughts, or some people call it meditation. It's really just to disassociate and to just be present right there in that moment, and to release yourself of all the stresses you have. Use that time to allow it to be therapeutic for you. And that's something I learned to do, because the mental is vastly more important than the physical. But if you can use those moments to help enhance your mental, then it's all the more worthwhile. But in our next segment, guys, I'm gonna be doing another story time segment. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You are not going to miss it. Be right back. Everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our first couple segments of our show, we discussed the relationship dynamic between Daryl Morey and James Harden and what that means for the Philadelphia 76ers organization moving forward, particularly this season. And we also discussed some updates on the Cavender twins, specifically Haley Cavender in women's college basketball, and how she plans to come back to basketball for the 2024-2025 season. And I also did another storytime segment. And in this last segment, guys, I'm going to do another storytime segment. Close out the show with 2 storytime segments. So, this story, I want to tell the story about the first time I realized in high school that I was the best player in my region, or the first time I realized that I can actually play at the next level. So my freshman year I was on JV, and then my sophomore year I moved up to varsity, and it was one of the first practices we had. And my sophomore year we had two great guards that started at my high school. One of them being my brother, and then the other one being a really close friend of mine. So they were both 2 years older than me. So they were 2 seniors. So my sophomore year, first couple practices with the varsity, and I remember we had this drill where it went 1-on-2, 2-on-1. So basically it worked on the guards breaking a trap, and then it worked on obviously having spacing, positioning, coming back on a 2-on-1 break. And so I'll never forget, that first, and it was like the first drill, second, third drill of the first practice we had, and I'll never forget, the 2 guards and me were matched up, the 2 starting guards and me were matched up, so they were guarding me, and then 2-on-1, and then I would come back and have to guard them when it 1-on-2. And so they're guarding me, doubling me, and I remember just breaking their press and blowing by them so easily, and doing it like with ease, and just like making it look easy, and it felt easy. It just felt fluid. It was just stuff that I had worked on all off season. And I remember doing it easily and just going and finishing, but then on top of that, getting the stop on the defensive end, not allowing them to score when they had the advantage. Those moments right there, and then doing it so fluidly, do it consistently throughout the practice, and just like going after them in every drill and every workout during practices. Establishing my dominance even as a sophomore. Maybe that's when I realized, okay, I might have what it takes to play at the next level. I always knew I wanted to, but that's when I first had that validation to myself and said, okay, no, I can really do this. But I was blessed to have guys like that not only help me accountable, but also made me work in practice. And it's great to have teammates like that make you work, and they keep you accountable and challenge you day in and day out. And that's the kind of player you want to be, the type of teammate you want to be. You want to challenge your teammates day in and day out, make them better. And I was blessed to have teammates like that, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it was not for them. So that was the moment I realized when I said, okay, I can do this. I can play at the next level. I can do this. If I'm doing all this as a sophomore to these guys, then I might really have what it takes. But I have to stay focused. I have to stay committed to it, man. But I just thought I'd share that with you because I had someone ask me that. When it was the first time I realized that I could play at the next level. And I'm sure I might have thought of it and felt it before, but that's one moment that particularly sticks out to me. But that's it for our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a wonderful episode. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all related content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in GSMC Sports. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network/tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. None of this is possible without you guys as fans, so we're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us, and it's a pleasure to be here. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the other shows on the GSMC Sports Network: the GSMC Baseball Podcast, the GSMC College Football Podcast, the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, and the GSMC NFL Podcast as well. All of our hosts provide great insight on the sports that they cover, and it's an honor and privilege to be working alongside some of the best in the business when it comes to sports media. So with that being said, guys, we'll be back again, same time on Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and until next time, peace.